The restaurant buzzed softly with the hum of chatter and clinking cutlery, the scent of roasted coffee beans and baked bread lingering in the afternoon air. Sunlight poured through the large glass windows of the Golden Leaf Café, falling on a small corner table where a young woman sat nervously, her trembling fingers tracing the edge of her coffee cup. She looked exhausted, eyes swollen from tears, hair tied back in a messy bun, her simple white shirt stained slightly at the sleeve. She wasn't waiting for anyone. She was hiding. And soon, the quiet hum of the cafe would turn into a storm she never saw coming. If you believe that kindness still has power in today's world, that second chances can change lives, then take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Because today's story is about one small act that changed everything. Her name was Anya, a 27-year-old struggling artist who had just lost her job at a local design firm. She had poured her heart into her work, but one wrong decision, defending a junior colleague against her arrogant boss, had cost her everything. Now, she sat in the cafe, trying to figure out what to do next, wondering how to tell her parents she couldn't pay her rent anymore. Across the room, a group of 3 well-dressed men walked in, loud laughter echoing through the space. They were the kind who believed the world belonged to them, expensive watches, confident smiles, and the kind of arrogance that filled the air before they even spoke. The waiter guided them toward a table near the center, but one of them, Raghav, tall, sharp-featured, and obviously used to giving orders, spotted Anya sitting alone and smirked. "Let's sit there," he said, pointing to her table. The waiter hesitated, mumbling that the spot was taken, but Raghav brushed him off. They marched straight toward Anya. Anya looked up, startled. "This table's reserved," Raghav said, smirking, his voice dripping with mock politeness. "You must have taken the wrong seat." She blinked, confused. The waiter seated me here." He leaned closer, lowering his tone just enough to sound intimidating. "Then the waiter made a mistake. Move." Anya froze. Her chest tightened. She looked around helplessly, but no one intervened. People pretended not to notice, busy with their food, their phones, their own comfort. Her throat went dry as she began gathering her things. And then, from across the cafe, a calm but firm voice broke the tension. "Wrong table, wrong day, gentlemen." Everyone turned. A man in his early 40s stood near the entrance, dressed simply in a light blue shirt and worn jeans. He was carrying a small lunchbox in one hand and a folded newspaper in the other. His presence was quiet yet powerful, like someone who didn't need to raise his voice to be taken seriously. Raghav frowned. "Excuse me?" The man walked closer, setting his things down on the counter. His eyes, calm but piercing, met Raghav's. "I said, you picked the wrong table and the wrong day to act like bullies." The cafe fell silent. Anya stared at him, unsure whether to feel relieved or more afraid. Raghav's friends chuckled, amused. "And who exactly are you?" one of them sneered. The man gave a faint smile. "Just someone who doesn't like watching people get pushed around." The waiter, nervous, whispered something to the manager, who stepped forward as if to calm things down. But before he could, Raghav slammed his hand on the table. "Listen, old man, this isn't your business. Sit down somewhere else." Before he could finish, the man took a step closer, his voice steady but low. "It became my business the moment you tried to humiliate someone who did nothing wrong. Maybe sit down and learn some manners instead." Something in his tone, controlled, confident, made Raghav hesitate. For a second, his arrogance cracked. But his pride wouldn't let him back down. "You think you can talk to me like that?" The man raised an eyebrow. "I don't think. I just did." The cafe manager tried to step in, but it was too late. The tension hung heavy in the air. One of Raghav's friends muttered something under his breath, but the man ignored him, turning toward Anya. "You okay?" She nodded, still shaken. "Good," he said softly. "You don't have to move. This table's yours." And with that, he walked away, taking a seat at the counter as if nothing had happened. The group of men exchanged glares, muttering to themselves, but something about the stranger's calmness made them uneasy. Eventually, they found another spot, grumbling under their breath. The incident spread through the cafe like wildfire. People whispered, glanced at the stranger, and some even clapped quietly. Anya sat there, staring at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and curiosity. Who was he? After a few minutes, she gathered her courage and approached him. "Thank you," she said softly. "You didn't have to." He smiled gently. "No one has to. But sometimes, doing what's right means not waiting for someone else to." She smiled back faintly, noticing the tiredness in his eyes. He looked like someone who had been through battles of his own. "Can I buy you a coffee?" she offered. He hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. But only if you let me pay for yours next time." They sat together, sharing small talk. His name was Arjun Mehra, a single dad who worked as a schoolteacher. His life was simple: work, home, and his 9-year-old daughter, Tara. He spoke of her with such warmth that even Anya couldn't help but smile. She noticed how he carried himself, with quiet strength, the kind that comes from enduring life's storms.